Hello dear student, welcome on this video lecture. We were talking about magnetic field because of various currents, and this was to be calculated by using Biot-Savart law that I started in the previous video. And in the previous video we have understood what is the magnetic field at the center of a circular current carrying loop. Now we will be finding some more magnetic field because of current distributions. So the next is due to current arc. So let's say this is arc of current carrying wire. So this is circular arc, and this circular arc has a radius a and it is making theta angle. That's the center point O, and we are interested to find the field at point O because of this arc only. So we know that if this arc is this becomes complete loop, then what is the answer? So we can say if theta is equal to 2 pi, that means the entire angle, then you'll find it's going to be complete loop, then it becomes loop, then magnetic field at center O is B is equal to magnitude and direction I'm writing separately. So thus B comes out to be equal to mu naught I divided by twice A. That was the formula we calculated using the Biot-Savart law. And moreover, we have talk about if the current is moving in this direction, which is clockwise, then the magnetic field is inside the plane. So that has to be inside the plane. So we will say this is the magnetic field into the plane or inside the plane, which we show by this cross and encircling this cross. So if theta is 2 pi, then answer is this. So that means for 2 pi this is going to be this value. Now you can think of all the elements of the current carrying loop will be contributing equally to build this this B value, magnetic field value. So this magnetic field is because of all the element. So that means this is linearly distributed with respect to every arc length. So from here we can say, hence for any theta arc, magnetic field at center would be, at center O will be, so we are using a direct common sense and finding this value of B. So B is going to be equal to mu naught I upon twice A, this is because of all, divided by total angle, which is 2 pi, into the angle which we are talking about, that is theta. So if it is theta arc, then it's going to be mu naught I theta upon twice A into 2 pi, which we can write it in this manner: B is equal to mu naught I theta divided by 4 pi into A. So that is ultimate formula that we need to use whenever we need to find the magnetic field at the center because of an arc. Now I have simply used that for 2 pi it is this, so what is going to be for any theta, so that's going to be this. Or otherwise we can use the Biot-Savart from the basic, and we can go for the integration. Then you'll find arc length integration is going to be r theta or a theta, then finally you will get this answer. So this is magnitude, and direction we can use from right hand rule, and that's come out to be inside the plane, so it's going to be inside. So this is direction, this is magnitude. So for any arc length we can find it out what the magnetic field is going to be. So if theta is known to us, magnetic field can be easily calculated for any current carrying circular arc. Now let's talk about one next magnetic field formula, that is due to current carrying circular ring, and in this time we are talking about on its axis. So let's say this is a current carrying circular arc, circular loop, complete circular loop, and this carries current I, and this current I is like that's going inside from this part and coming outside from this part. This is how the current is moving, and this is three-dimensional picture, and this is the center point. Let's say this is O point, that's the central point. and we are interested to find the magnetic field at point P, which is over there. So we are going to take a differential length element dl. So that differential length element dl has been considered over here. It is in 3 dimensions, so that's idl, that's vector is going to coming outward to the plane. So that's outward. That's why it is being shown by a dot. So that dot is basically indicating this ideal vector is pointing outward. Now then this is going to be r vector for us, because we know from dl we join the point of interest to find the magnetic field, so that becomes r vector. And this is the point where we need to find dB. So what the dB is going to be as per the Biot-Savart law, you will write this dB vector is going to be equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi in bracket dl cross r divided by r cube. Making sense? So that's a formula with which we need to start with. Now first of all, let's ascertain what the direction is. Direction is going to be dl cross r. Now see, this dl vector is outward from this plane of board or screen, so that's towards out, and r is in this direction. So you'll find there's a need for cross product. If you do the cross product, you'll find this is going to be the direction of dB. So dB is going to be perpendicular to r as well as perpendicular to dl, so it's going to be perpendicular to both. So this is going to be at 90 degree. Making sense? Now if it is this, then we can say this dB, as we change this dl element over this circular loop, then you'll find this dB will keep on changing its direction in 3 dimensions. So for that sake, we need to do components. So let's say we are making one component in the horizontal direction, another component in the vertical direction. Now let's assume this angle is theta. So if this angle is theta, so you'll find this is going to be 90 minus theta, so that will become theta. And then you'll find this is going to be component called dB cosine theta or cos theta, and this component will be dB sin theta. So dB is a vector quantity, so we are making the 2 components of it. Now these are the magnetic field because of the small differential element that we have taken over here. Now if we take that difference, this differential element downside, so that's going to be inside or into the plane. That dl will yield the magnetic field at this point somewhere downside. So let me draw that. For this is going to be r vector. So r cross this dl cross r, if you perform using the vector product, then you'll find that's going to be perpendicular to this dr and going to be in this direction, some sort of this. So that will be dB, which is perpendicular to this line, and this dB is because of the differential element taken at the bottom. Now again, if we make the components of this, then you'll find one component is going to be in this direction, another component is going to be vertically down. Now you'll find this component which is in the vertically down, and there is one component vertically up. That means the 2 components of the upper element and the lower element will cancel out each other, whereas other 2 elements, they will be adding up. Now if we keep on taking different elements on this current carrying loop, then you'll find those components which are going to be vertical, they will get cancelled out, and those components which is going to lie horizontally, they will survive. Making sense? So after understanding this, then we can say ultimately this component of magnetic field will be added up to find the total magnetic field. So can we say the magnetic field that we are interested at point P is going to be integration or summation of dB sin theta. So I'm writing dB sin theta. I'm not writing twice dB sin theta, because in integration we will integrating this on the entire loop. So if we write 2b sin theta, then we need to integrate only on the half loop, because other half will be covered by the other component. Making sense? So dB sin theta has to be integrated. Now let me write what this dB is. First of all, it's going to be mu naught I dl divided by 4 pi r square into angle between dl and r. When you say dl is coming vertically outside and r is on this plane, so they are going to share 90 degree. So that becomes sine 90 degree. And then this is sin theta. This theta is different than that one, so we can integrate this thing. Now when we carry with this, so this b is going to be equal to mu naught I, which is a constant we can take outside. Side 90 is 1, so we can keep as a 1, divided by 4 pi, and inside integration you will find it's written as sine theta divided by r square into dl. Now let's check which one are constant in this and which one are variable. So if you move this dl across this or on this periphery of the loop, then you'll find theta will remain the same, because x will remain the same, r radius will remain the same, hence theta will remain the same. So theta is a constant. Moreover, x and r is a constant, so small r is going to be constant, and that small r is going to be basically under root x square plus r square. So that's a constant number for a given x. So what we can do, we can say these are also constant which can be taken outside, so it becomes mu naught I sine theta divided by 4 pi r square integration of dl. And then we can simplify further to get our answer. So it's going to be mu naught I divided by 4 pi r square sine theta into dl, integration of dl on the entire loops. Again, this dl is a scalar number, that's a simple length, and we integrate on the entire loop, then you'll get it's going to be periphery, which is 2 pi into r. After simplifying, this 2 pi gets cancelled out, then you'll find it's going to be some sort of this mu naught I r sine theta divided by this number, which is going to be 2r square divided by 2r square. You can see from here, right? Moreover, we can also say this sine theta, which is going to be a constant. From this figure we can read what the sine theta is going to be. So sine theta can be found out as perpendicular, which is r, divided by hypotenuse, which is small r. So we can replace this sine theta by the number that we have understood from this right angle triangle. So I'm replacing this sine theta by its value, and that value is capital R divided by small r. So ultimately it becomes mu naught I r square divided by twice r cube. So this becomes the formula to write in the fashion so that it is in the terms of x and capital R. So small r value can be transported over here. So magnetic field at this on this axis at point P comes out to be mu naught I r square. R is the radius of the loop. We can also take this r by replace this r by small a if we are choosing small a as a radius. So mu naught I r square divided by twice in bracket x square plus capital R square raised to power 3 by 2, because this is cube and this is going to be under root, so that becomes 3 by 2. So this comes out to be a formula for magnetic field on the axis of current carrying loop, and this is mu naught I r square upon 2 in bracket x square plus r square raised to power 3 by 2. Making sense? So that's an important formula, we can remember it. And this value of b will be dependent on x. If we keep on changing x, the value of b will be keep on changing. And since x is coming only on the downside and it's a square function, so b will be having a maximum value when this denominator is 0, and this denominator b will have a maximum value when this denominator has a minimum value, and that minimum value will be coming when x becomes 0. That means magnetic field is maximum at the center point where this x is 0, because x is being measured from the center. Making sense? And if we plot the graph, then you'll find the graph comes out to be some sort of this that has been shown over here. The magnetic field and this along the x, then this is a origin, that is x equal to 0, so that was the center of the ring. So if you go one side, then the magnetic field decreases, and it becomes 0 after long distance. And if we come to the left side of it, it behaves very similarly, right? So that's how the magnetic field magnitude has been plotted with respect to x, and you'll find the maximum value is at the center, so that's a b max. And if somebody asks what is a b max, then you say it is at the location when x equal to 0, so put x equal to 0, you will get the old answer, which was mu naught I upon 2r. So it's going to be mu naught I upon 2r, where r is the radius of the ring. So this is an important formula. Let me quickly summarize. This is the Biot-Savart law that we started with. Then we found what the magnitude is going to be. Then we integrated, got this as a result for magnitude. And as far as the direction is concerned, I think it's clear from the picture that the direction is going to be in this direction. So the magnetic field direction will be along the axis. And following the right hand rule, that means if somebody is at point P, if it is finding the current to be moving in this direction, that is anti-clockwise, then it will be towards that observer. And if the direction appears for the person standing at point P as clockwise, then it's going to be away from this P, that means toward the center. Making sense? So if you make yourself stand at point P and see which type of current is rotating, so you will find in this case the current will appear to you rotating in anti-clockwise sense. Whenever it is anti-clockwise sense, it is going to be away from the center. So nutshell, the magnetic field is in this direction. However, if we change the direction of current, then you will find the direction of magnetic field will get reversed. So if this person observes the current in clockwise sense, then the direction of magnetic field will be toward the center. Otherwise, it will be away from the center. And it will always be along the axis. So these are the points about directions we need to keep in mind. And this graph will let you imagine or feel how the magnetic field varies over all the points on this axis. So as you start from minus infinity, and then you will starting from the zero magnetic field, but it will keep on increasing, becomes maximum at the center point, then again decreasing to zero after long distance. Fine. So that's an important formula to be remembered. Now let's move towards another important formula, that's magnetic field due to straight current carrying wire. So let's say this is a straight current carrying wire and it has a current I. And let's say these are the points, we can denote this point. This is end point M. This is another end point which is N. So length of the current carrying wire is Nm and it is a straight wire. Now let's say this is a P point where we are interested in finding the magnetic field, and the location of P point is at a distance d, which is a perpendicular distance from the wire. Making sense? And we are interested in finding out the magnetic field at this point P. So what we need to do, we need to let's say from this reference location we are moving a certain distance up along this wire, which is y, and considering a very small element of this current element, that is dy or dl. So that's a dy we are considering. This dy is going to behave like a dl. So for us this is dl vector, you can call it, and this is 90 degree of course. And let's say this point which we have opted is making certain angle with this P location. So let me construct it, and this is location P, and this angle we are measuring in this way, and this angle is, let's say, theta. Mind it, we are calling this as a theta, so you need to keep in mind. Now either we can integrate in terms of y, so we need to find or use the length of the wire, or another way is we can give our answer in terms of theta. Generally writing the answer in terms of theta is quite easier related to writing in terms of length, so we will be putting the limit of theta. Now theta is being measured from this reference line in the upward direction as a positive. So if it goes downwards, so it becomes negative. So another one initial limit will be from n. So this is going to be 1 theta, and this is going to be another theta. These values will be known to us. So let's say this angle is theta 1, this angle is theta 2. So we will say this theta varies from minus theta 1 to plus theta 2. Why we say minus theta 1? Because it is in the opposite direction. So it's like minus theta 1 to plus theta 2 is the limit of this theta variation. Now then this d theta element, so if we are joining this part as well, so that will be read as a d theta. So after theta we are considering d theta element, and that is of dl length, and we are interested to find the magnetic field because of this dl vector. And as per the Biot-Savart law, this dB is going to be equal to mu naught I, that is I current which is flowing through that, divided by this 4 pi r cube dl cross r vector. So that's how it starts with. Now dl vector is basically dy vector, so if I draw them separately, you will find it's going to be some sort of this. This is the dl vector, and this dl vector is basically dy for us. And when we are talking about the r, so r is going to be this point which is joining this with the point P. That's r. And if we go like this and construct it, then you'll find there's going to be right angle triangle. This distance is d, which is fixed, and that is given to us. This distance is y. So we can connect this r dy with this thing, and this angle is what we are considering as theta. Now if this is theta, this is 90 degree, and this is going to be r vector. R vector is going to be in this direction. So the angle between dy and r vector, that's dl and r vector, which is required for this cross product, is going to be this angle. So we need to know what this angle is going to be. Then you'll find this angle is going to be can be calculated using this. This is going to be 90 minus theta. Since this is 90 minus theta, so this has to be 90 plus theta. So we can say it's going to be 90 plus theta. So 90 plus theta is the angle between dl and r vector, so that we can handle this cross product. Now let's talk about this cross product. So it's going to be written as a magnitude. So as a magnitude, dB will become equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi r square. One r is getting cancelled out, and instead of dl we are going to write dy, and then the sign of the angle between these two, then sine angle between these two is 90 plus theta. So this is going to be simplified version, and if we can carry with this, so it's going to be equal to this thing like mu naught I sine 90 plus theta is basically cos theta, and that's a dy divided by 4 pi r square. Now let's find out what is r, theta and y, how they are related, because theta varies when we go from n to m, y varies, and r also varies. So to settle them down, we can find a relation so that everything can be written in terms of theta. So we can replace this y in terms of d. So let's consider this right angle triangle and try to apply a sine rule. So as per that sine, so we can say sine theta from this picture is going to be equal to y upon r. Or in fact, if we are not interested in using this r and y together, so what we can use something called cos theta. So this cos theta is going to be equal to d divided by r. So point is, from here we can find what the r value is going to be. R value is going to be d into sec theta. So that's the value of r. Now we need to also find the value of y. So y and d can be related by using tan theta. So we can say tan theta is equal to y by d. Now from here, if we are interested in y, so y is going to be d into tan theta. Now d is a distance, not differentiation, but we need to find dy. If this is a y, so what the dy is going to be? So can we write this dy in bracket? Let me write this dy in bracket, where this dy is going to be differentiation of y. So differentiation of y is going to be d, which is a constant, and differentiation of tan theta. Whenever we differentiate tan theta, it becomes sec square theta, and d theta will come as a differentiation, right? So now we can write what this dB by magnitude is going to be. Because of this finite straight wire, is going to be mu naught I cos theta divided by 4 pi r square, which is going to be equal to d square sec square theta into dy, which is d into sec square theta d theta. Now this d theta is a differential theta, right? So from here you can see the sec square theta and sec square theta is cancelled out, 1d and 1d is cancelled out, so it's becoming mu naught I divided by 4 pi into d. and in numerator you are going to get as this d sec square theta is gone, and so it's going to be simply cos theta d theta. So that's going to be the magnitude of differential magnetic field at this point P. Now then after we will be thinking about what the direction of this dB is, that means what is this dl cross r vector is. So if this is the dl, that is dy, and this is r, if we do the cross product for the point P, then you'll find the cross product is going to be perpendicular to dy and perpendicular to r, that's going to be perpendicular to this plane. Then either it will be outward the plane or inward the plane. Then using the right hand rule you can say place your fingers of right hand in the direction of dy and curl towards r, then thumb will be going inside, so dB is going to be inside. Now if the dB is going to be inside, then you'll find if we are taking this current element at any location between m and n, then the cross product will be always inwards. So the total magnetic field at point P is going to into the plane. So that is the direction of magnetic field at point P. Since they all the elements are delivering the magnetic field in the same direction, hence we can find the total magnetic field by simply adding their numerical values. So from here we can say hence this magnetic field is going to be equal to integration dB, and this integration dB is going to be integration mu naught I divided by 4 pi d cos theta d theta. Now then after we need to integrate this, so mu naught is a constant, I is a constant, we can take it out, 4 pi d they are constant, integration of cos theta d theta. And then now it's on theta, we have already talked about what the limits of thetas are going to be. It's going to run from minus theta 1 to plus theta 2. So we can integrate this cos theta will become that can be integrated, and then we can find out what this b is going to be. So final formula we can write over here, that's going to be b is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d in bracket cos theta integration will become sin theta, then we need to place the limits, it's going to be sin theta, and limit runs from minus theta 1 to theta 2. If I write directly, then you can understand. First we will write replacing this theta by theta 2, then this theta by minus theta 1, so there's going to be minus outside, and then minus of this, they will make it plus. So ultimately the magnetic field at point P will be equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d in bracket sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. So that's a formula, and that formula says about the magnetic field because of this straight current carrying wire. So if there's a straight current carrying wire, and if we know the terminal points by in terms of theta, so let's say theta 1 is the lowest terminal, theta 2 is the upper terminal point, then the magnetic field at P point can directly be written as mu naught I upon 4 pi d, where d is the distance from the wire. Distance, when we say distance, is a perpendicular distance, and in bracket sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. So whatever this theta 1 is, that has to be written over here, right? So let's say that's 30, so you write it as a 30, and theta 2, if it is 60, we will write it as a 60. So sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2 will become our answer. That means if this theta 1 is below that line, then we will write it as a theta 1, and if it is upside, so that's going to be theta 2. Okay, so the arrow says theta 1 is downside, theta 2 is upside, and magnetic field direction is into the plane that you can see from the picture. I have this clear, that's an important point that you need to remember. Okay, so we can use this last expression or result due to finite in case of finding a field due to infinite straight wire. So let's say we have an infinite straight current carrying wire, so that's an infinitely long straight wire, so it runs from minus infinity to upside infinity, and there's at a distance there is a point P at which we are interested in finding the magnetic field. So first of all, we will try to find what the direction is going to be. So if any point, if you take the element and go for dl cross r, thumb will going inside, so you will say the field or magnetic field is going to be inside. So point is at all the points lying on the left, this right side of this wire, the magnetic field on this plane is going to be inwards. And if we take a point over here, then the field will come outwards. So from this wire, one side the field is inwards, another side the field is outwards. That field can also be, the direction of this field can also be ascertained by using a right hand rule in a different way. That means we can imagine that we are holding this wire we are holding by using our right hand in such a way that the thumb is pointing in the direction of the current. And then if we open our palm and take that palm at this point P, then whatever the direction coming outside of the palm becomes the direction of magnetic field. So if we keep our thumb of right hand in the direction of current and take the palm at the point of interest, keeping the thumb in the direction of current, then the direction coming outward from the palm is the direction of magnetic field. So if you hold this such that your thumb is there, then your palm at this point is going to be inside, and whereas the palm at this side is coming, the outside of the palm will be coming outward. So this is how we can also ascertain this direction of magnetic field, or otherwise dl cross r at any location will give you the direction of magnetic field. Anyway, we are interested to find out what the final answer of B is going to be. So we know for finite, since we know for finite B has a magnitude mu naught I upon 4 pi d sine theta 1 plus sine theta 2. So that is for any wire which is straight. And here we need to ascertain what the theta 1 is. Theta 1 is measured this to the terminal point, but that terminal point is not here, it's rather at infinite. So this theta 1 is going to be in such a way so that this point touches to infinite. That means this point basically goes to infinite. So you will find this theta 1 is tending to 90 degree. Similarly, theta 2 will be going upside, so that's going to be again 90 degree. So we can say for infinite case, theta 1 and theta 2, they are the angles which tends to 90 degree. So that's tending to 90 degree. This is also tending to 90 degree. We can substitute over here. Then you will find the magnitude of magnetic field is going to be mu naught I divided by 4 pi d, and this is going to be sine 90, which is going to be 1 ultimately, plus sine 90, which is going to be 1. 1 plus 1 becomes 2. So final answer, because magnetic field due to infinite straight wire will become B is equal to mu naught I. There is going to be 2 and 2 get cancelled out, so it becomes twice pi d, where d is the distance from the wire, and when we say distance we always mean it that's a perpendicular distance. So using that perpendicular distance we can find the magnetic field at any point P. So we can ascertain the direction separately and can find the magnitude separately. So that is due to infinite straight wire. Another point related to the same formula can be magnetic field due to semi-infinite wire. So that means this is, let's say, current carrying wire, and which runs from this point, which is a fixed point, to this infinite point, so somewhere very far apart, and that's d distance, and this is the P point where we are interested for the magnetic field. So you will find the magnetic field again using the right hand rule. If you hold this wire such that your thumb is in the direction of current, then the palm at point P will have outward direction into the plane. So that's the direction of magnetic field. So that's the direction. What the magnitude is going to be, then again we can measure the angle. Theta 1 is going to be joining this reference line with the reference line, so theta 1 will be overlapping, that is 0. Theta 2, which is going to be touching this infinite, that's a 90 degree. So here in this particular case, theta 1 will be exactly 0, whereas theta 2 will be approaching to 90. So using these 2 points, we can say what the magnetic field becomes for this semi-infinite case. It becomes mu naught I divided by 4 pi d in bracket sine theta 1, which is 0, plus sine theta 2, which is 90. Sine 90 is 1, that we know, so it becomes basically B is equal to mu naught I upon 4 pi d. Now if you compare this field with the field that you have already talked about, that means because of infinite, then you'll find this field is exactly half of it. And it can be justified why this is coming half. The reason being the magnetic field direction remains constant, hence the above half portion will be contributing exactly same as the lower half will be contributing. So that's why, because of semi-infinite, it becomes mu naught I upon 4 pi d, whereas for due to infinite straight wire it's mu naught I upon 2 pi d. So these are the important results you need to remember about magnetic field because of a straight wire. Now after understanding this part, you must be able to write down the magnetic field by its magnitude and direction due to any straight wire, whether it's a finite, semi-infinite or infinite in nature. And most important point would be writing the direction and then of course magnitude correctly. So that's all about this video. In this video you have understood two important points about this magnetic field calculation. One, because of the arc or ring on the axis, and another due to straight current distribution. In the next lecture we will be talking about Ampere's law. That's another way of finding the magnetic field because of current distribution. So that's all. Thank you everyone.